everybody, it's Greg again from Heck Yeah, You Can Cook. And today, this is going to be the actual roasting of the turkey. Now I have a couple secret ingredients that I do with the turkey. I have already brined the turkey. That's another episode of how to brine your turkey. Today we're actually going to prepare it. It's pulled out, it brined overnight. And so now we're going to take it and we've got some aromatics to use in it. We've got some methodology of how to cook this bird. And this is a little more difficult, but this is a once-a-year thing, in my opinion. I very rarely roast a whole turkey. My pan is 20 years old, for instance, but this is a once-in-a-year thing. So if it's going to put once in a year, throw some effort into it and make yourself a legend in your family. So today's tools that you're going to need, and this is very important, you're going to need these tools. I don't have substitutes for them. You're really going to need them. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a large roasting pan. I prefer the one with the rack, okay? And we're actually going to be using this in a couple steps. Make sure you get the good solid metal one. You can't use the aluminum foil ones here. You've got to have an actual roasting rack for this recipe to work. You're also going to need a set of barbecue gloves. I know, right? Trust me on this. This will come in part 2 of this video after we get done and we start as we're processing cooking. We're actually going to flip our bird. So it's very important you have something that's going to protect your arms as we turn this over later in this. You're going to need a great, and I mean a great, thermometer probe, because there's nothing worse than a raw turkey. I'll stop right there. You guys can figure that out. We're going to need some aluminum foil. My bird looks like a robot by the time it comes out. As you're cooking, you'll get some hot spots. This works really well. You're going to need a stick blender. You know the way around it. This one's 20 years old and it's probably been used 25 times. So yes, are they worthless and take up dust most of the year? Yes. But they are something that you definitely have to have for this recipe. Also for a tool, you're going to need a cooling rack as you're pulling this out, or you can use your stove top if you're not making anything else. I'm not making anything else today, so I will definitely be using the stove top for that. Now that we've got the tools laid out, let's go to the ingredients. You're of course going to need a brined turkey. Here it is. This one's 10.5 pounds, probably weighs more like 12 now after soaking in the brine overnight. I have got 1 apple chopped, folks. I'm not going to show you all this. This video is going to be long enough as it is. So I hope that you can understand how to chop an apple. I have an orange, okay, and also I've got the peel from the orange. I like a mandarin orange for this. They seem to be more flavorful, so use this. I've got a whole bulb of garlic, the cloves from that garlic. Don't chop them, leave them whole. I've got 2 shallots. They're just sliced, okay? Just slice the shallot, do not chop it. I've got 1 onion that has been slightly quartered. They're going to fall apart and we're going to be using these in chunks anyway. So don't chop the onion, leave them in that type of form, just simply sliced. 1 pound of carrot, about 1 inch thick pieces. I've got 1 stalk of celery, about the same 1 inch to 1.5 inch size pieces. We're going to be using these in that size, so keep them that way. I've got some olive oil. I've got some olive oil spray if I get lazy. I will probably get lazy, so it's good to have the olive oil spray. And I got a big old bottle of Chardonnay, okay? Now, this is going to be used to deglaze the pan later as we're making the really scrumptious gravy for this. This takes a little bit of process. Make sure you heat your oven to 350 degrees. You can do 325. I start about 350 and then I turn it down to 325 just to hold that heat. This is going to take about 3.5 to 5 hours depending on the size of your bird. That's why it's very important to have that thermometer. I don't trust these pop-up thermometers. They seem to come up a little early in my past experience. So we'll use it if it comes up and double check with the temperature. But I like measuring the turkey in the thigh meat, not in the breast meat. So we'll look at that in a little bit. First of all, we're going to take the turkey, and I'm not going to bring a close-up here. I think you can figure it out. We have taken the cavity of this bird, and it is completely empty. We've removed everything before we even brine. Now, here's what the key to making a very flavorful turkey is. You got this giant cavity here. People put stuffing in there for years. That dries out a bird. It's bread. So what I like to do is add things. They're called the aromatics. So we're going to add some things into this cavity to flavor the bird from the inside out. First thing I do is I take the orange peel and the orange wedges and I use all of that in here. Straight on in. This is not real scientific. You just kind of push it. I like to have the oranges in there, especially up against the breast meat. The whole apple goes in. Handful of the shallots. few of the garlic cloves. Push those in. A few of the celery stalks, and I love them just a few. Same thing for a handful of the carrots. Stuffy stuff. And a little bit of the onion. We have stuffed the bird now. Using that cavity for that effect of bringing the aromatics through the bird from the inside, not just from the bottom of the pan. 2 ingredients I forgot to mention of this is I've got fresh oregano, and I've got some fresh rosemary right here. Now I do add to the cavity with this, I add a sprig of the rosemary and a couple of the sprigs of the oregano. Just stuff that right. Forget about the aromatics of this big bird. Now, you've probably seen this before, but this is a good little trick right here is I lift the skin up of the turkey, especially on the breast meat. Kind of working your fingers under it, like so. And then we take the fresh oregano and the fresh, we'll break it apart in that spot. Right on top of the meat. It's Thanksgiving. It may be Christmas. It's worth it. You do it once a year, maybe twice. Become a legend. You take this, kind of work it under the skin. Just keep pushing it down. It's a big bird. Slide it, push it down. Don't worry about moving the skin off. You're going to push it right back on. It just adds so much flavor. Stuff the rest into the cavity. There you go. Got your bird prepped now, and we're going to do the pan next. So what I'd like to do is I'll just set the turkey to the side. Take the rack out, set it to the side for the time being. Bring this over. And this is where I spray it down with some oil. Now to go back to stuffing the turkey, if you've got a larger bird, and I'm only feeding about 5 or 6 people, so add more aromatics, add more of the carrots, add more of the onions to stuff and fill that whole cavity. Got this done. Now we just basically take, and I use the bigger pieces first, spread that out over the bottom. This is going to allow a roasting from the top, and when it's done, we're going to use this as a gravy base. It's quite interesting. Throw the onions in there, the garlic, the shallots. Now you will need a strainer. I forgot to bring that out as a tool. If you wish to strain the gravy after we've completed it later. So we got all those in there now. All the aromatics are in. Okay. I take and do another light spray of the oil on top, and then I add this right to the top. Now you may be saying, I didn't see any salt, I didn't see any pepper, I didn't see any spices. We're going to allow the turkey brine to do that work. That's all. This turkey has already been spiced and already been salted because it's been in the brine. If you add salt here, you're really going to overpower it. There's a lot of brine in the turkey. It's going to come into the vegetables as it cooks, so there's not going to be any salt needed. Adding salt here you can do at the end to taste. If you do it now, you can overpower the dish. Now we've got this turkey, and I think I am going to be lazy today, and I'm going to spray it down with the olive oil. Spray it all the way around. Now, of course, you got the top. We're going to take that, and we're going to turn it upside down, folks. And that's going to leave the turkey, some of the stuffing falls out, that's okay. We're going to leave the turkey wings tucked in. Now, I go ahead and I take the aluminum foil, and I cover the tips of the wings. They're going to burn. I've cooked many a turkey. I can't figure out how to do this otherwise, just to protect them. Now, I will take this off later, and that's great. Did you all see that fall to the floor? Thank goodness. All right, back up. We're going to pull it and just cover the tips of the wings at this time, because they will burn. And as other parts darken, that's the good secret, is you cover them with the wings. So that's why we check it every few minutes or so. This is all soaked in because it's in the brine. It's been sitting straight up. The water's already running out, so I just pat it dry again. Spray it down with oil. We're not inserting a temperature probe here. This thing's going to take a long time. We're going to cook this now. We're going to check it, make sure there's nothing on the top burning. Of course, if it is, it's not that big of a deal because that's not the side you're going to see. But you may want to protect the skin, especially around the wings. We're going to let this cook. I'm going to come check it in 45 minutes. We'll come back to that point and look and see what it looks like. and then we're going to turn it at about the 2-hour mark, okay? We're allowing all the juice from the top of the turkey to run through the breast meat and hold, and that's why you're doing it this way right now. I forgot to mention, you want your oven on the lowest rack. Trust me on that. Unless you're cooking something else in the oven at a time, which you probably shouldn't be, have your sides already prepared. So the first session, we will roast for the first 45 minutes at 350, kind of get the turkey started, and then we will turn it down to 325. Hey everybody, I forgot to mention a couple ingredients. We've had 45 minutes go by, so we're going to put this in here. I've got the turkey gizzards. I have cut them up, heart, lungs, everything else they add to there. We're going to use that in the gravy. We're going to brown that a little later on before we add it to the gravy stock, as we're on the last part of the turkey being cooked. Here we have 2 tablespoons of butter we're going to cook that with as well. And you'll need a can of chicken broth and of course the wine, not for that, to deglaze the pan. So we're going to move the camera over here now and I'm going to show you the turkey. We're going to set it up on the stove. Like you can have a cooling rack and do this on the counter. I'm not cooking anything on the stove top today, so I'll put it up there. And we will show us the process as we are checking the turkey, making sure it's cooking as it does. We're going to check at 45, and then we'll check again another hour after that. Okay, we brought the bird out. We're looking at it here. Looks like coloration's good so far. We don't really need to cover anything. It's browning slightly. So we're going to set it in. I'm going to let it go another hour. Flip it. And then I will reposition now here at this time. Just a little bit. All the birds a little crooked, a little different. Looking pretty. Doesn't seem like we need to have anything right yet. I'm probably going to put a little bit of aluminum foil on the tips of those wings, just so they won't burn. Robot turkey reporting for duty, sir. Got a little bit of a spot. You know, the back of the turkey is not really seen, so I don't cover that as much. Cover with another light coat of oil, just to protect it. Get the vegetables down below a little bit. We'll go back in and we'll check it in an hour. Make sure you have something to do while you're cooking the turkey. Lots of times I have sides I'm making pretty heartily and quickly here, so the time goes by quick. At the rate it's cooking without any scoring going on as well, I will keep it at 350. When it starts to darken too fast, that's when I lower the temperature. Okay, everybody, we've gotten the bird another hour in. Got some shrinkage around the bones. That's a good sign. Nice and crispy. Now here comes the hard part. You see I've got my barbecuing gloves on. We're going to turn the bird over. Turn it over. You can see the back is nice and crispy. I'll let that sit down. And now we're going to cook it some more. Up here, we're going to cover the wingtips back up. Come off the aluminum foil. We're going to remove the gloves. A little bit of aluminum foil right here. On the end again. That piece fell off. And again right here. We don't want this to turn, it's already black enough. Every turkey is a little different. Alright. Cover the bone up down there. We're going to set it back up in the oven. We're going to let it go another hour. And then I will put a timer in it, and I'll also use the pop-up timer as well. At this time, I'll also spray a little olive oil on the turkey. We're going to turn the temperature down to 325. All right, and there goes the bell. We're going to come back and check it in about another hour. Okay, everybody, we've had another hour go by. Let's see how it's doing. The timer has popped up. That's looking pretty good, isn't it? I like to insert a thermometer myself to make sure that it's completely done. Get into this thigh meat here. Oh yes. The thermometer has gone off. We have completed our turkey. We can take the robot pieces off here. We're going to pull all these off. out. And we've got our pretty bird all roasted and cooked and ready to go. What I like to do now is we're going to make the gravy. So I'm going to come back. Should get that bird in there. And we're going to cook make the gravy at this time. So everybody please hang on for a second. We're going to take the bird off. We're going to set it aside to let it cool. We're going to cover it with aluminum foil so it can cool. And we'll get this all set up. As you can see here, everybody, we have set the turkey. I put some parchment paper on a cookie sheet. I'll let that cool. All right, so we're going to set that aside. And then we're going to come back and you set this on the stove. We're going to turn our burner, our front burner, our large setting, about level 4. Won't take long. And this is when we're going to make our gravy. Okay? We've set this on the burner and we've turned it on to 4. And this is completely safe to do on the stovetop. It will heat. Get the turkey out of the way. As you can see, it's already starting to bubble in there. I throw in the giblets that we had before. Add the butter. And the reason I still have these on, this is still pretty hot, so you're going to work that in. So we're going to take a spatula here. Start moving this in. Put the giblets in the middle. All those juices that ran out of turkey are going right into this gravy right here. We're going to allow those giblets to cook and brown for just about 5 minutes. Be very careful at this point holding the handles because they are still hot from being in the oven for so long. The giblets being added is completely optional. I just like it. Now that we've cooked the giblets for about 5 minutes, I then add 1 can, which in this case is 14.5 ounces of chicken broth. We're going to allow it to cook that down again for another 4 or 5 minutes. You can increase the heat here to about medium-high. And you're going to stir this occasionally. Now you'll see along the sides you have these wonderful turkey bits. I think your spatula in this case are coming right off. Scrape them right in there. This is a little bit extra work, but it's so much better than that canned gravy you get at the store. While this is going on, get out a 16-cup mixing bowl. You're going to want your whisk strainer, and that sits right on top of the bowl. And while this is going on, get your stick blender into place. There she is. Da-da-da. All right, you've had about 4 minutes go by. You've gotten some of that deglaze. Just want to take a little bit of the wine right out of the bottle. Pour it just about a few ounces around. Going to get all the bits off the bottom if there are any. As you go up on the sides, it'll help take it right off. All those flavorful bits off on the sides. You're going to want to let your turkey cool for at least 30 minutes with that aluminum foil on top of it. 25 to 30 before you try to carve it. I turn this down to medium heat here. We're going to go about 3 to 4 more minutes. We're going to turn the temperature all the way off, allow it to cool for a little bit. And I'm going to say, okay, we're going to add a little bit of the rice flour just to try to thicken it. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons, well rounded. Level 1. Very careful of this. We got some hot splashes going on. Try to avoid the... Start the blender before you put it in. Slowly move it around. We've got 2 tablespoons of flour in here. Try to thicken a little bit. Paper towel's handy because it will splatter on you a little bit. We've worked that around good. We're going to let it cool for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to put it through the strainer and kind of pick up the mess that you made, because it is going to splatter while you're doing this. But once again, it's legendary turkey. If you're going to be a legend, sometimes you got to work kind of hard at it. Okay, everybody, we have allowed this to cool. Now you're going to push it right through the strainer. Pour the gravy right in. Right out of the pan. Any bits that are still need to be scraped out. The wine did a great job deglazing it for us. And if there's any bits that were missed, just push this down through the strainer. And any big bits that were missed as you were blending, which is fine, push these through. And you have a gravy like that afterwards. Just keep pushing it. Once again, you're legendary. This takes a little time. You don't want the gravy to be chunky. Just kind of push it through the sleeve. And the smell is fantastic. I wish I had smell-o-vision here. You're pushing all the liquid out to produce the gravy. Now I use 2 teaspoons of rice flour to thicken it. You can use as much as you like to thicken it. I don't like it too thick. So yes, you can buy the gravy out of the jar. And yes, it's easier. Which would be legendary. Heck yeah, you can do this. Keep pushing down, get all that liquid out. That looks pretty deliquified. Now I get a small bowl. Set that to the side. I want to do here, simply just pour that in. And that is completely edible, believe it or not. And there you have your gravy. Look at that. Grandma would be proud. You pour that into a container and serve it in your dish. Has a good thickness to it. There you go. Holiday gravy, along with the turkey. Hope everybody enjoys. Legendary turkey, legendary brine spiced turkey. Have a great day. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're making it for then. And remember, you can only be a legend once. And then you, of course, have to cook the turkey every year after that. Everyone have a great day.